when you're in the NBA, it's a business, and the business has to do its best job to make sure that, it's taken care of.
First, I want to talk about your Heat. So I know some fans were very disgruntled being swept by the Cavs in the first round, but what do you want to see them do? I was going to say, so how do you feel about it? What do you think they need to do in the offseason? How are you feeling?
Well, they lost their best player.
Yeah.
I mean, it was obviously an ugly divorce over there with Jimmy and the Heat, but you don't lose your best player and then you get to the conference finals. Like, that doesn't really happen. It takes a while to reboot and get back on the horse. I mean, we saw that they lost 10 in a row after Jimmy left, and then eventually they won 6, and then they won some games in the play-in to get in. But they shouldn't even been in. They summer probably should have started a little earlier, but that's the fight in Miami, right? The fight in Miami, and that staff, that grit, allowed them to even be in that space to get swept by Cleveland. A lot of people would have already been on vacation and went home. And that's the culture that we built over there. Even when we're not our best, we still going to fight, and it's going to be grit. So all we got to do is just you got to regroup. Each year is a different year. The organization obviously have to do their parts to make sure that the roster is a roster that can compete, right? Like, we only look at competing for championships. If we're not competing for championships, not a successful year in Miami. Even though some of our favorite years is not championship years, but as an athlete and as an organization, you're determined by those things back there. And so we got to get back to that. And so it's a lot of work that needs to be done from the top. And I'm, as someone who was a statue outside, I'm sitting here with my eyes open and I'm listening and my ears open and seeing what they're going to do.
So a surprise nobody really saw coming. Some news, the Mavs winning the draft lottery. I'm curious because everyone thinks it's rigged. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I loved the meme that you posted. It was really, really funny. But, oh my gosh, what do you say, Dwyane? What is this, man? What is going on?
Well, I'm an investor in the Utah Jazz as well, right? And, we were obviously hoping for the number 1 pick. And not only did we not get the number 1 pick, we ended up getting the 5th pick. So that sucked. That really sucked. And not saying that the 5th pick can't turn out to be Dwyane Wade, who was the 5th pick for the Miami Heat. You never know. All the greats that's been picked at 5. But we all got our says. We don't know, but we got an opportunity to say what we want. And so that was my response. I've been on record talking about this billionaire business, where I feel that today it's a business. Now, I'm not saying anyone is doing anything because I'm not a witness in it, but this is a business that we're a part of. And I think people forget that in the competition of sports and what we love, because we grow up playing sports and it's not a business when we grow up. But when you're in the NBA, it's a business, and the business has to do its best job to make sure that, it's taken care of. And so I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
I was there one year. I think it was 2008 when I thought we was going to get the number 1 pick. We ended up getting a number 2 pick. We drafted Mike Beasley. But the Chicago Bulls, just like Dallas, they had a small percentage, and then they end up jumping into the top 4. And in my mind, I said, Derrick Rose is number 1 pick in the draft. The Bulls are going to get first, and the Bulls did. So maybe that's a coincidence. Maybe LeBron going to Cleveland is a coincidence. Maybe these things are. But it's good to talk about, and it gives all of us something on our platforms to talk about. So we're going to talk about it.
Love it. Last couple here for you. So there's been noise about Giannis possibly parting ways with the Bucks, and he's made it known that he wants to win another championship. Obviously, no shock there. But if he does leave Milwaukee, where do you think would be a good potential spot for him? No tampering allowed, obviously.
It's Giannis. Anywhere. Giannis can play anywhere in the world, man. Just put him on the court. So I know that Giannis is someone who has talked about, staying bit, Kobe is someone he looked up to, and Kobe is someone who played Lakers his entire career. That doesn't mean that that's Giannis' journey, but, Giannis has been very loyal to that team. He's given everything he has to the organization. And so if he decides to do something for himself, that's his own right to do that. And as fans, we're going to go wherever Giannis goes. If Giannis is going to be in Milwaukee, we're going to be supporting Giannis in Milwaukee. If he goes somewhere else, Giannis could play anywhere. I think anybody will love a teammate that gives 110% to everything, to the game every night, and that plays the way he plays. And so we're all going to be on the lookout to see what Giannis do for him and his family.
Right. I'd love your take on this. Recently, I spoke to Shaq, and, obviously former teammate of yours. He said, I love the game, but I don't think that the current players love the game. They love what they get out of the game. basically, saying they're in it for the paycheck. So do you agree with this or do you not agree with this?
I can't agree or not, I don't know. I don't think Shaq is or us has ever ran a poll with the players and asked them this question. We're sitting in studios and we're sitting at our home watching the game, and we get to comment on it. And we don't know. We're not there every day with those guys. You know what I mean? The work that they put in to get to their skill level, the work they put in to be as good as they are. Like, we know the work that it takes to be good in this league and to be successful in this league. So I won't disrespect the player and say that they don't have the same love of the game that we have. It's just different. This is the whole world is different. It's not just the game of basketball. Everything is different in the world that we live in. So it's adjustment for our eyes and our ears that needs to be made to the generation. And it's hard for us to do that. Well, hard for some people to do that when you come from a certain generation and this is how you did things. And so I can't say these guys game. They're getting a lot from it, just like we got a lot from it. It's just it seemed like they're getting a little bit more, but they're not. It's the time that they're in. If they're getting, we was getting 20, they're getting 40 or 50. It's the same. The team is in a good place, Kenzie. That's all I can say. This playoff has been incredible. It's been very competitive. Shout out to the refs for allowing for physical play. It looks like the game that we all grew up on about competition and seeing the great players in that game have to show up and be great and not relying on certain things to help them get there at this time of the year. And so I appreciate it as a fan, and that's all I am at this point. I'm a fan, and then I get a chance to talk about the game.